and really beautiful things. And a lot of oncologists, which are doctors dealing with cancer and other types of doctors, ended up finding out about my father, and they would send to his farm many individual patients that were terminally ill, stage 3, stage 4 cancer. My dad had a lot of diabetics, people with heart disease, and all types of different disease. We had Alzheimer's patients, even a couple individuals that had the AIDS virus. And I can tell you that every single disease, it didn't matter what disease people were coming in with. And I got to meet these people living out with my father for a couple of summers. And I noticed that when you observe these 7 principles of health, it didn't matter where people were at. There were literally people brought onto my father's property in wheelchairs and brought out in a situation literally looking like they were near death. And I can tell you, every single time, within a very short period of time of observing these principles of health and really inundating these people with good nutrition, within as little as 7 to 14 days, these people were drastically different. And I remember just watching these people come out of their shell and like a spark being ignited. And within 30 days, these people, you would not recognize them. And when the family would come to pick them up, or they would go home to their families, it was absolutely shocking to the families and friends of these individuals that came to stay with my father. And he would have literally hundreds of people every summer come out and go through these very specific fasts and these experiences of doing these 7 principles of health. So after being exposed to my father for over 10 years, I really started traveling around the United States, mostly going to every major health convention and expo and any type of medical symposium and fitness type of expo, and really sharing this information that I had learned and also picking up on new information. I met a lot of interesting people and decided to go and stay with them. People like Dr. Kazar of Southern California, who was really pushing works as far as the body and the study of even parasites within the body. Learning from people like Dr. Gabriel Cousins. He's recently made a movie called 30 Days to Raw, and he takes people from all over the United States, type 1 and type 2 diabetics, and literally cures them of their diabetes and gets them off of medication within a 30-day period. Very inspiring. And since that time, probably about 7 years ago, I've been doing the same thing with diabetics. And for many years, I've been working with different cancer patients, people with tumors, brain tumors, spinal tumors. I've worked with women with cervical cancer, heart disease, all kinds of things. I've worked with individuals over 450 pounds, which is about 200 plus kgs, help them to lose all of that weight. And, I've seen it all. I've seen people, the worst situations you could possibly imagine, bringing them all the way back to life and health and vitality. And for the last few years, I've been facilitating 7-day juice fasts here in Bali, Indonesia, and working with literally hundreds of people, helping them to purify and cleanse the body, to really detoxify the body and educate individuals on really what's going on in the world so that they can start to avoid toxicity and avoid poison and really start to nourish themselves. And the interesting conclusion I've come to is that disease really is 2 things. Disease comes from 2 places. Number 1, disease is a poisoning of the body. So, if you poison yourself or you have a lot of toxicity in your body, you're going to experience disease at some point. And number 2, disease also manifests from a lack of nutrition. And nutrition comes from many sources. It comes from hydration, from water. It comes from sunlight, sunshine, developing vitamin D and other key nutrients by being out in the sun. And mainly it comes from the whole foods that we're eating. So that's the sources of nutrition I'm going to be talking about today. So just to give you an idea how today will track, we're going to talk a little bit about statistics, what's happening in the world, and then I want to share with you where that's coming from. Specifically, what's causing cancer, what's causing diabetes, what's causing heart disease, which are the major leading causes of death and disease in the United States, in Australia, and in most Western type cultures. And then I'm going to talk about the solution, very specific things that we can do to prevent disease. When I say prevent, it's like venting our bodies, purifying ourselves, detoxifying ourselves, but then adding proper nutrition so that our bodies can literally rebuild themselves. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you some really cool products that we have at Conscious Lifestyler and give you a really fantastic deal if you want to get started with some of the things that we have to offer. So without further ado, we will get started. Still a few people coming on, I can see. And like I said, throughout the webinar, if the sound starts to go bad or something, just go ahead and type in a question or raise your hand, and I'll make sure I deal with that properly. So getting started here, we're going to start out with some statistics. Diabetes is Australia's fastest growing chronic disease. In fact, diabetes is the fastest growing chronic disease on the planet. And there's a reason for that. If you go to a doctor, by the way, they will tell you once you have diabetes, you will be taking insulin for the rest of your life. They'll say you cannot cure diabetes, you cannot reverse this. You ask them where it comes from, they'll just say, oh, it's just something that happens. They will not address diet and exercise typically. They may talk about that a little bit, but they typically avoid that and just say, look, you'll have to be on insulin or some form of medication for the rest of your life. And I can tell you that once you get on that medication, there's side effects from that medication as well that are absolutely horrible. Cancer statistics. Cancer is the leading cause of death in Australia. This is the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. They also say on their website that 1 in 2 Australians will be diagnosed with cancer. And that's a pretty drastic statement. They don't even say 1 in 2 Australians might be or may be diagnosed. They say 1 in 2 Australians will be diagnosed with cancer. And that's pretty bold. And really think about that. Think about yourself. Think about maybe your significant other, your family, your children, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles, your friends. That's a horrible thing. Luckily, I've never actually had any family member or close friend ever have cancer. And I'm really happy to be able to say that. But I can tell you that I've met many individuals with cancer, and it's really a horrible thing to experience and watch people go through, especially when they decide to go down the medical route. Because when they go down the medical route, a lot of these people look perfectly healthy, look fine, but as soon as they start taking chemotherapy and other drugs and having surgeries, their life goes downhill. And statistically, if you look up the medical journals, statistically, if you go the medical route and you take, you have surgery, you take chemotherapy or any of their drugs, your chances of death increase by 200%. Statistically, if you take alternative routes of healing, doesn't matter what it is, if you don't go down the route of the medical procedures, you take an alternative route, your chances of healing, your chances of not dying, increase by 400%. So statistically, you're better off not doing anything. And I can tell you that even my wife had cervical cancer and was diagnosed with it about 5 years ago. And she was just like, you know what? I can't go down this path. And she actually left the country because doctors were so adamant about trying to follow up and bugging her family and trying to use scare tactics to get her to have surgery to take her uterus out. And years later, we met. And we've been living a healthy lifestyle for quite a few years, and we have a beautiful baby to show for that, which absolutely could not be possible if she had gone down the medical route. So, I thank God for, having an alternative route. And what I want to do is show people that there is an alternative. So moving forward, what's interesting is the American Cancer Society is a group that has spent literally probably billions over the last 10, 20, and 30 years of dollars in research of cancer. And the number one thing that they say after all of their research, believe it or not, the one thing they say is diet is the greatest single factor in the epidemic of cancer. In fact, the largest studies ever conducted on human beings dealing with cancer only, figuring out where cancer comes from, is called the China study. I highly recommend you grab that book and you read it because it'll give you some really clear awakenings of where cancer comes from. And it absolutely points out that number one factor in cancer is diet. It's what we're putting into our bodies. And in fact, it's not only a preventative measure, it also has the ability to put cancer into remission. And what's really interesting is anytime you really see, principles of prevention, if someone says, hey, to avoid heart disease, you should eat 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables, get moderate exercise, and drink 8 to 12 glasses of water. Those same principles of prevention also apply to the remission of the disease. And what I mean by that is if you already have heart disease, if you already have some form of cancer, if you already have diabetes, the same principles that would have prevented it in the first place are the exact same things you need to do to put that into remission. And really, when it comes down to health, it really comes down to, it's easy. It's simplistic. It comes back to the basics. If we work with Mother Nature and her principles, we heal ourselves. And when we go against Mother Nature and we start taking pharmaceutical drugs and we continue down the path of eating lifeless foods and drinking lifeless drinks, that's what perpetuates the disease that we have. So really it comes down to a choice. Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be the hamburger? Is it going to be the dead chemical-laden foods? Or is it going to be the fresh fruit and vegetable? And it really comes down to simple choices like that. And I'm going to talk about how to make that a little easier of a process to transition to those things. The Institute of Cancer Research states that research shows that the majority of disease we face in this country are preventable, not through new drugs or medical breakthroughs, but through simple lifestyle choices such as diet and exercise. And that's what it really comes down to. Cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, the leading killers on this planet, are lifestyle diseases. And what that means is that your lifestyle has caused that disease. And the cool thing about that statement is you can change your lifestyle. And as you change and modify your lifestyle, the disease will change and modify to become something quite different. But what we're taught as individuals is as our lifestyle creates disease, we need to go to a doctor, and receive medications and things. And that's not going to change your lifestyle. Taking a pill or a capsule is not going to change the fact that you're still living the lifestyle that caused that disease in the first place. So now I want to talk about the key things that I believe 80% plus, this is where disease is coming from. And, a lot of times the leading cause of disease in children under the age of 15 is cancer. And I really believe that that's coming from the foods that we're giving our children as well. And that's fully preventable. And you'll get to see that in the next few minutes going over these things. So the major cause of disease: chemical preservatives, artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated oils, MSG, artificial colors, and genetically modified organisms. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about each one of these things. Chemical preservatives. Now, the thing is, there's dozens of chemical preservatives. There's probably 20 or 30 or even more chemical preservatives that are put into food that are harmful. I'm only going to talk about a couple. This is sodium benzoate and potassium benzoates. They are preservatives found in pickles, flour, margarine, fruit juices, beer, salad dressing, soy sauces, toothpaste, mouthwash, and medicine. So this is where, a lot of people might think, hey, I'm pretty healthy. I have a good diet. I don't think I'm going to get cancer. But at the same time, you might be going out and having a salad somewhere, and that salad dressing may have one of these chemical preservatives. Sheffield University cites lab tests that suggest benzoates are known to cause leukemia, cirrhosis of the liver, and Parkinson's disease. Now, I'm not just making this stuff up. I didn't just create a PowerPoint presentation and make a bunch of stuff up and throw it onto a slide to try to blindside you. You can research this stuff yourself. Simply type in potassium benzoate or sodium benzoate into a Google search. Go to the chemical safety data sheet online, which is a database of every chemical known to man showing what it does to humans and animals, and you'll find this same stuff out. You'll find out that it's known to cause cancer, cirrhosis of the liver, and Parkinson's disease. So why is this stuff that's known to cause cancer being put into my salad dressing? Why is it being put into my beer? Why is it being put into fruit juices? You're at the petrol station, you're at, the servo, you're at the grocery store, and you have your children with you, and you're honestly thinking, hey, I'm going to go buy my kids some fruit juice. I'm going to go out and eat a salad. And you believe, honestly, that it's healthy. You look at it, it says fruit juices, says high in vitamin C, so it has all these health claims on it. And at the same time, you turn these things over and you find out it's concentrated juice. It has sugar added to it. Typically, it has some type of artificial sweetener or something else, and then it has chemical preservatives. And I'm going to tell you, these chemical preservatives aren't going to kill you. You're not going to drink one juice and be like, oh, I'm dead. But over time and distance of getting these chemical preservatives in the juice that you're drinking, in the food that you're eating, in the salad dressing that you have, and all these different things, even your toothpaste, putting something into your mouth is absorbed into the bloodstream within about 5 to 10 seconds. So anytime there's something known to cause cancer, do not put it in your mouth, period. Don't even put it on your body, because the skin is cytophylactic and it lets things in. This stuff is in medicine as well. So your children get sick or you get sick and you end up taking some medicine, and this medicine has something that's known to cause disease. So we really need to look at, what we need to do to avoid toxicity and what types of things we can do to actually bring about a situation of health. When you're sick, what types of things can you do to assist your body in cleaning itself out? Because typically when you get sick, it's your body's way of eliminating the sickness. You get nasally, you get mucus that builds up, and you try to eliminate that by blowing your nose, by coughing it out. We get hot sometimes. We get something called a fever. And when your body gets the fever, when you get to that 37 degrees Fahrenheit, the immune system can work literally 64 times faster when it heats up. And yet what we do is we try to suppress that. We try to take some type of medicine that suppresses that, when really what we should be doing is supporting that process of healing. So I have somebody commenting that maybe there's a few sound problems. I just want to check in with you guys. If you can hear me clearly still, I'll move forward if you just raise your hand. Raise your hand if you can hear me clearly. Just wait till I can see some hands. Looks like maybe there are some sound problems here. Just going to check a few things. Thank you, John, for raising your hand. It looks like you can hear me a little clearly. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Tanya. Beautiful. Okay. Sounds like you guys can hear me a little better. Thank you, Andrew, Cully, Kathy. Beautiful. Thank you guys for being interactive. Again, if you have any questions throughout this webinar, my beautiful wife, Rochelle, will be just sending you little comments and answers if she can. And towards the end of the webinar, if you do have questions, I'll also touch on a few of those questions as well. So getting back, going back to where we left off, chemical preservatives, moving forward. Another thing is called aspartame. Aspartame in the 70s and 80s was taken into a lab, was heated up to about 35 degrees. At 35 degrees, it becomes formic acid and formaldehyde, two deadly toxins known to cause a plethora of symptoms. So when Coca-Cola and others sell these products, they're chilled. They're not actually poisonous. But when you put them into your body heats it up to that 36 degrees, and it becomes poison. It literally becomes formic acid and formaldehyde. So things to realize, things to look at are anything that says sugar-free, no sugar, low sugar, diet sodas, chewing gum, those flavored packets, flavored water, children's medicines, cereals, yogurts. We need to look out for these different things that contain aspartame or other artificial sweeteners. Even Splenda was actually produced from the insecticide industry. Literally, the insecticide industry ended up finding out that they produced an insecticide that was highly sweet, and they made that into an artificial sweetener. You could literally go, pick up some Splenda at the coffee shop, take it home, and dump it on the ground where you see a bunch of ants, and it'll kill the whole colony because it's an insecticide. I highly recommend not putting that into your coffee or any other drink or food for that matter. Partially hydrogenated oils. If you have anything that's plastic, all plastic is made from taking crude oil and basically heating that up in a large vat and bubbling hydrogen through it, which makes forms of plastic. And the food industry caught on to that. They started basically using food grade or vegetable oils of different kinds. They heat it up in a large vat and they partially hydrogenate it. If you could see this process, it's absolutely disgusting. It becomes highly thick, it smells, it stinks to high heaven, and it turns black and disgusting. Then they deodorize it, they bleach it, they put it through all these processes so that it doesn't smell and look and taste bad. And they use this form of plastic in our food. They use it as a filler so that the food actually costs less. So they can sell you these cheap foods that are full of plastic. Things like chips, muffins, crackers, bread, all kinds of things. If you turn over the label and it says partially hydrogenated oil, that's what it is. It's a plastic filler. And for thousands and thousands of years, there's something called trans fats that have never existed. And when we created partially hydrogenated oils, we created trans fat. And trans fat interferes with the metabolic process of the body. And literally, that's what a poison is, something that interferes with the metabolic process of the body. Moving forward, MSG, monosodium glutamate, was specifically developed to cause diabetes in rats. They developed this food flavoring out of a specific protein called monosodium glutamate to cause diabetes in rats so they could see if they could figure out how to cure diabetes. And instead, they ended up replicating insulin rather than curing the actual disease. But then MSG, after being created to cause diabetes in laboratory rats, was introduced into the food, into the population. It started out with Chinese restaurants, and other restaurants started buying this flavoring. And three things happen when you use MSG. First of all, it's highly addictive. So if you put MSG into any food, your customer base will become highly addicted to it. Number two, it shuts down the receptors in the brain that are known to tell you when you're full. So you'll keep on eating and eating and eating. And number three, it causes your pancreas to overproduce insulin by 3 times the amount, meaning that you're going to lay down fat, meaning that your pancreas is overproducing insulin. It causes a lot of trouble with the pancreas. It works the pancreas a lot, and you'll end up developing diabetes from having that in your food source. Here's just a few of the names that now MSG hides under. In Australia, it's MSG, pure MSG. If it's more than 60%, it'll say number 621. So if there's a lot of MSG put into that food, there's a number on it that says 621. But these are names that MSG can hide under. It can say malt extract, malt flavoring, bouillon broth, stock flavoring, literally natural flavors, seasoning, spices, and BHT, which if you walk down the aisles of your grocery store and start turning over your packages and look at the ingredients, I'd say this is on like 80% plus of the packages of food in our stores. So most of the food that people are buying contain MSG, chemical preservatives, artificial sweeteners, and things of that nature. Then we have all of the colorings going into our foods, all the different cereals, packaged foods with colorings, drinks. The blue dye in question is FD&C blue number 1. It's made from coal tar, which makes it a dangerous substance due to the high content of toxic substances such as mercury, lead, and fluoride that are found in coal. And that's out of the New England Journal of Medicine. So anytime you're drinking a red drink, a purple drink, yellow drink, or eating foods that have colorings, that's small amounts of mercury, lead, and fluoride that you're putting into your body. A recent report in USA Today said that studies suggest that coal tar may cause leukemia, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and multiple myeloma. So again, looking at that, that's basically what's going on. We're being poisoned. People think that when they go to a grocery store, they're buying food, when in fact you're not. You're buying chemical-laden, artificial sweetened junk. And that is why the statistics are where they're at. It's no longer a mystery. If you're listening to this webinar, it's no longer a mystery where diabetes and cancer and heart disease and all these things come from. It's coming from the foods that we're putting into our bodies. And last but not least, there's a company called Monsanto that is basically an insecticide and pesticide industry. They developed all the pesticides, Roundup and different things that were used on crops, and now they're genetically modifying food to try to perfect it. And in that process, are creating things that we have no idea how they're going to affect our health. The American Academy of Environmental Medicine basically has shown that it creates problems with fertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, faulty insulin regulation causing diabetes, and changes in major organs of the gastrointestinal system. Since their findings, farmers have found that thousands of sheep, buffalo, and goats in India died after grazing on GM cotton plants. Mice eating GM corn for long terms had fewer and smaller babies. More than half of the babies of rats fed GM soy died within 3 weeks. And it just goes on. And we have no idea what this is going to cause over time and distance. By the third generation, most GM soy-fed hamsters lost the ability to have babies. Soy allergies skyrocketed by 50% in the UK soon after GM soy was introduced. The stomach lining of rats fed GM potatoes showed excessive cell growth, a condition that may lead to cancer. Studies showed organ lesions, altered liver and pancreas cells, and changed enzyme levels from all GMO plants. Most people on this webinar are probably thinking, oh, well, I do my best to avoid genetically modified foods, or maybe some of you have no idea. But the fact is, I can tell you that most of you are eating genetically modified foods every single day. And what's interesting is that genetically modified foods are the number one crops that are used to extract supposed nutrients for the supplements that you're taking as well. All these different supplement industries marketing, vitamin C and multivitamins and all these different pills and capsules, those nutrients are coming from genetically modified plants. And in fact, those nutrients have been stabilized and neutralized and put into pills that can sit on the shelf forever. And I'll tell you that you're really not getting nutrition the way it was meant to be getting. The way that we are meant to receive nutrition was meant to come from Mother Nature. It was meant to come from whole foods. And the thing is, whole foods contain thousands of phytonutrients, dozens of vitamins and chemicals and minerals that are known to enhance and build the body. And we really need to get back to that. We need to get back to very basic but profound nutrition that comes from whole foods, comes from things that are fresh. And what I'll tell you is that, I've read, there's a 120-page document of the labeling of genetically modified foods in Australia. I've read the entire thing. And if a food is genetically modified, it has to say it right on the label. So when you're buying fresh fruits and vegetables and even salads, greens, and different things in your grocery store, it will say genetically modified right on it if it's genetically modified. But the way that Monsanto is getting their funding, the way they get away with it, where they're making their millions and probably billions of dollars, is all of the food additives. When you look at your package and you turn it over and you see all these numbers, 220 and 200 and 500 and 600 and all these different numbers, and you see all these additives, soy lecithin, emulsifier, all these different things, you have no idea what it is. That's the genetically modified plants that have extracts that are being put into your food, because the labeling states that if it's just an additive, in food, it doesn't have to be labeled genetically modified. And that's where you're supporting these genetic modification and Monsanto and all these companies by buying all these processed foods. So I just want to give you an idea of how horrible this stuff is. And, I travel a lot. I go to something called Boost Juice. A lot of you might know what that is. It's a beautiful company that sells amazing juices. I'm grateful for them because I can go ask them for fresh squeezed apple juice. I have them add banana, a little bit of berries and different things when I'm traveling. They have them at airports and different places. Absolutely fantastic. But then they also sell things like this. I see parents coming up and, the kids, I hear the wrapper crinkling. Oh, mommy, buy me this. And mommy, takes a look at it, and this is what she sees. Boost Bites. Hi, I'm Barry. Bite me. Kind of cute, right? And you look at it, it looks amazing. It says a blend of fruit bites with all natural berry flavor, coconut, and yogurt. You look over here and there's got a few check marks. Made from real fruit, check. All natural colors and flavors, check. Source of fiber, check, without added calcium. So anybody in their right mind would be looking at this and be like, oh, wow, this looks like really healthy little, fruit bites that's all natural. But in fact, you turn over the package and you see something quite different. And just to give you a quick run through, it says ingredients fruit, 32%. But hold on a second. That's concentrated apple puree, dried apples, and contains preservative 223. Remember that chemical preservative I told you earlier? Known to cause forms of cancer, psoriasis of the liver? There you go. Reconstituted mixed berry juices, 1.5%, just so they can say it has berry in it. Wheat semolina, maltodextrin from wheat, yogurt confectionery, sugar, vegetable fat. Hold on a second. There's your hydrogenated palm kernel oil. That's not even partially hydrogenated. That's full form of plastic made from the palm kernel. So it's got plastic in it as a filler to make it cheap. It's got milk solids, yogurt powder, these additives. Again, emulsifier, most likely genetically modified, soy lecithin, citric acid, sugar, isomalt. Again, these wheat protein are coming from genetically modified plants. They have coconut. Hold on a second. Contains preservative 220, sodium sulfite, which is known to cause all types of problems within the body. Seaweed extract, humectant. What is humectant? What is that? Why are we eating things that we can't identify as food? If you can't go to the store and buy humectant and actually eat it and recognize it as a whole food, why are we eating that in our Boost berry bites? All these numbers, 422, 220, 223, you really shouldn't be eating numbers. Numbers are not good for you. Food is good for you. It's got regulators in it. Regulators! 330 and 296, vegetable oil, natural flavor. That's where they sneak in the MSG, get the kids highly addicted to it, known to cause diabetes. Natural colors, right, that natural 120 tree down the road? Yep, that's really natural. 120 is not natural. Glazing agents. There's literally agents in this food, 553B, 904. Then there's a specific warning. After all of this, it has a specific warning that says, contains sulfites in quantities greater than 10 milligrams per kg and should be noted by sensitive persons. Well, I'm a sensitive person, so maybe I should take a note of that. Interesting, huh? And some of you might know what this stuff is, some of you might not, but when you really look at the big picture, it's not what it says it is. So that's what we're dealing with. Just to give you an idea of what that natural color is, 120 is actually an animal-derived product. It's extracted and obtained from the dried bodies of the female Dactylocus coccus insect. It literally is coming from an insect. I think that's absolutely disgusting. Why couldn't they get the color red from some some beetroot? Why couldn't they get it from some beet powder? Why are they grinding up bugs and putting that into what you would believe would be a vegetarian meal? Absolutely disgusting. And in fact, that dried, ground up body is known to cause anaphylaxis, asthma, contact dermatitis. The hyperactivity sensitivity group recommends to avoid it. It causes hyperactivity in children. In fact, ADHD is not a disease. ADHD to me stands for ADHD is artificial diet hyperactivity disorder. If you eliminate the artificial diet from children, everything starts to balance. So really, we need to start becoming aware of what's going on in the world. And the sad part is, once people are getting sick and having symptoms from all of these foods that we're literally being poisoned with, what do? Well, we're taught to run to a doctor. We're literally taught to go to the doctor and say, hey, doctor, I have some aches and pains. Oh my gosh, I'm getting dizzy. Wow, I'm seeing these shiny things out in front of me. Oh my gosh, I'm bleeding. Oh my God, I got this big rash. Where's that coming from? Hey, I got this problem. Doctor, help me. The doctor doesn't ask you, hey, I wonder what this is caused from. What are you eating? What are you doing in your lifestyle? What kind of poison are you exposed to? The doctor does not do that. The doctor has been trained from the medical industry, which is backed by the pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical companies have actually funded the curriculum that doctors get over 4 to 6 years, and they're pharmaceutically indoctrinated. And the doctor, instead of asking you where this problem is coming from, will give you a pill. He'll give you a pharmaceutical drug, which is a poison. Literally a poison that's known to cover up the symptoms of what you're experiencing. So if you have a rash, instead of looking at, oh, well, you know what? When you eat poisonous food, your body pushes it out through the skin, and that's why you have a rash. So stop eating poisonous food. And in fact, there's whole foods and different things that you can eat to clean the body, and there's different plants you can put on the rash to clear it up. But no, what they'll do is they'll get a strong steroid topical that pushes that poison back into the body, and in fact adds more poison on top of it. They'll give you a pharmaceutical drug to take to suppress your body's own natural way of eliminating toxicity. In fact, the word pharmaceutical comes from the Greek word pharmako or pharmakia, and literally means mixing and matching of poison. It literally means poison. There is not a single pharmaceutical drug that exists on this planet that is not a poison. If it's not a poison, they can't patent it as a drug. They literally have to make pharmaceuticals poisonous. Otherwise, they cannot patent it and sell it. Every single pharmaceutical drug affects the liver negatively. The liver is one of the most important organs for life, health, and vitality. It is absolutely retarded what is happening. It is absolutely ridiculous the way that we've been lied to, the way that we've been programmed to just run to the doctors and think that they have the answer. And we need to wake up. We need to be told the truth. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth that we've been lied to. We've been fed poisonous stuff, dead foods, toxic things for way too long. We need to become aware of what's going on and simply change our lifestyle. A lot of people go to a doctor looking for therapy, looking for surgeries, looking for many different things. Here's the Oxford Journal. These are medical journals. They've actually created a word called iatrogenocide. The leading cause of death in the United States today is iatrogenocide, which is doctor-induced death. Car accidents, other accidents, disease, everything is topped by doctors killing people. Iatrogenocide is defined by due to the action of a physician or therapy the doctor prescribed. An iatrogenic disease may be inadvertently caused by a physician or surgeon or by a medical or surgical treatment or diagnostic procedure. Rates for major disability and death are similar from the US to Australia, with Australia being slightly higher. But the rates of minor disability caused by doctors is 6 times higher in Australia. In fact, there's something called a nosocomial infection, and 200,000 people in Australia alone receive a nosocomial infection every single year. Nosocomial infection means getting an infection just by walking into a doctor's office. Hospitals and doctors' offices are a breeding ground for toxic chemicals, all types of antifungal, antibacterial substances which breed bacteria. So the worst place you could ever possibly go when you're sick is into a hospital or into a doctor's office, because it's known to cause disease. So moving forward, now I would like to get into the answer. I want to talk about the solution. I don't want to talk about the problem too much. I've just exposed a lot of that problem, and I hope you're kind of up to speed and kind of on the same page of what I'm talking about. And I know a lot of times it takes a lot to get there. You know, this might be a first-time exposure. You might have heard this before, but after coming to my webinars and really getting this information, I also do workshops. I do a 2-day workshop where I teach all of this stuff and can really have the time to get this information across in such a way to really educate people and to the point to where you go home and it actually integrates into your lifestyle. But really, I want to talk about, where health and vitality come from. And it really comes down to what we're putting into our bodies. Anciently, they referred to the body as a temple, and they believed that this was a sacred place. And they believed that if something wasn't of a high vibration, if it didn't contain light, you should never put that into the body. They viewed the alimentary canal or the digestive system, 32 feet of tubing, literally 10 meters, being the most important tubing in the body. They called that a river of life or a river of death. Depending on what you float down that river is going to determine the type of vitality that you have or the type of disease and sickness and tiredness that you have. So really, it comes down to fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, tubers, legumes, and a fungus that is among us. And things that aren't cooked above a certain degree, killing the enzymes and the life force that exists within them. So I also want to talk about Hippocrates. Hippocrates lived in about 460 BC. He traveled to Egypt and he literally studied the human body for about 7 years. Hippocrates did some pretty profound things. He could look into your face, literally by looking at the lines, looking at different bumps and things on the face, he could tell different stresses that were happening within the body. If you look at the area between your eyes, between your eyebrows, this represents the liver. If you have a protruding forehead or a little bit of fatty, it's sticking out a little bit. A lot of times you can see people that have fatty liver disease because it's bulging in this area where the eyebrows are. If you have a very deep cut line, this is when your face is totally relaxed, not when you're smiling, not when you're raising your eyebrows. If you have different lines there, that means that there's stress with the liver. If you have acne or bumps or wrinkles or large pores, that's a sign that there's toxicity happening within the liver. If you look at the area around your eyes, that represents the kidneys. So if you have dark bags under the eyes, if you have lines, if you have bumps, this means that something's happening with your kidneys and they need to be purified. The nose represents the heart. If you look at the area of the lines going from your nose down to your mouth, you see some people that have these deep cut grooves. That represents the colon, meaning there's stress in the digestive system. The cheeks represent the stomach. And I'll tell you, time and time again, I'll literally walk into a restaurant where people are eating. I'll see some people leaving that have bright red, rosy cheeks. And that's a sign that they ate something that their stomach did not agree with. So there are simple signs of things that we can see in our face that will give us, information about what we're eating and what we're doing. And it's a pretty profound thing. Hippocrates literally laid the foundation for modern medicine. The modern hospitals and doctors are based on what Hippocrates brought to the known world. He set up an office and he would bring people in, literally study their face. Then he would look into their eyes, and the whites of the eyes give so much information. I've been studying what's called sclerology, iridology, and face glyphics for quite a few years now. And I can identify if somebody has pancreas stress, if they have stress of the thyroid, which essentially is diseased thyroid, heart, liver, kidneys, circulatory system, lymphatic system. You can even see pituitary and pineal gland. You can see brain issues. You can see plaque. You can see a clogged digestive system. You can see all of this in the eyes and in the face. This is called sclerology and iridology. And he would simply look into people's face and into their eyes and give them a profound understanding of what was happening. And most importantly, not diagnosing, but telling people what to do is the most important part. If you're sick, it's educating people, letting them know what caused the disease in the first place and what to do to absolutely eliminate the symptom or the problem of what's happening. And one of the most known statements of Hippocrates is, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." He taught every physician when he established the medical community to use food as medicine and to use very specific practices that do not cause harm. In fact, every single medical doctor still gives a Hippocratic oath, which states, first, do no harm. And I believe that most medical doctors are absolutely breaking their oath by prescribing pharmaceutical drugs to individuals. So moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about ancient cultures and the brilliance that came from them. There are really a lot of long-lived cultures that have existed for thousands of years. And even to this day, there are long-lived cultures of people that live to be 110, 120, perfect eyesight, perfect teeth, absolutely disease-free. There's a book called Healthy at 100 by John Robbins. Absolutely amazing book about different cultures. One called the Abkhazes from Russia, another one called the Hunzas from Pakistan, and another the Vilcabamba Valley of Central America, and even the Okinawans of Japan, and how they live long, beautiful lives. And it really looks into the things that they're eating and also their social lifestyle. Absolutely beautiful book to get. But Pythagoras is one of my favorite individuals. He lived in about 5 to 600 BC. He traveled to Egypt as well, just like Hippocrates, only he studied in Egypt for about 33 years. And as he was in Egypt studying, he really learned a variety of things about the health of the human body. He studied sacred geometry and astrology and many different things. And as he went back into Greece and even into Italy, he opened up what was called the Pythagorean Academy, literally a college of understanding and knowledge. And just to give you a little context, Pythagoras literally created a revolution. He created the Renaissance. People like Aristotle and Plato, Leonardo da Vinci, Hippocrates and Socrates, and all of these individuals literally came from an era of a teaching and a sharing of information that came from Pythagoras. Pythagoras is well known for being the father of numbers, a mathematician. I'm just showing that I may be having some signs with my volume. If you guys can still hear me okay, just go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll keep moving forward. Just raise your hand if you can hear me all right. Again, just to your right, if you can hear me. All right, Kay Morgan, thank you. Matthew Rowley, thank you very much. Sounds like you still hear me. Kathy, Cynthia, thank you. Danielle, okay, beautiful. Moving forward again. So with Pythagoras, did brilliant things using sacred geometry. He also developed music. He literally would stretch a string and he developed the 7 octaves of music. And he was applying sacred geometry to all areas of life. He literally applied sacred geometry into building, into painting, and using it for eyesight to enhance human eyesight. And even to this day, looking at paintings and buildings that are put together with sacred geometry really enhances a mental state. They use sacred geometry in incense for the smell. They would make music with sacred geometry for the sound, and they were enhancing the quality of life. But the thing that we don't hear about is the fact that sacred geometry was also applied to the foods that they were eating. You see, Pythagoras, when you wanted to become a part of the Pythagorean Academy, when you wanted to go to the College of Pythagoras, he would insist that you would fast for a very specific amount of time to purify the body, to purify the mind, to really get rid of the ego and become humbled in a situation of learning. Then upon entrance to the academy, he would give you this meal called the Meal of Hercules. I still have ancient writings and books that you can even find to this day and get access to that show the exact ratios of nuts and seeds that Pythagoras put together called the Meal of Hercules. But these things aren't shared. We aren't taught this day that foods can enhance the memory, it can enhance mental function, it can grow and build and beautify the body. So really Pythagoras was really the forerunner of sharing beautiful things, and I believe that we all should have access to the information that Pythagoras taught. And it's one of the reasons that I'm here today. For thousands of years, it was observed that in nature there were specific correlations. The same mathematics of phi and pi, the golden mean, can be seen in nature throughout all plants and at different levels at which things grow. Things grow above the ground in the trees, right on nature's table called vegetables, and also below the ground. And there's three different levels of the body, and these foods affect us in very profound ways. There was also something called the Doctrine of Signatures, or Signum Natura, which means signs found in nature. I'm going to talk about a few of these. This is a poster that shows a few of them. If you look at a watermelon's kind of shaped like the human brain. It contains 93% water. Our brains could have 93% water. The fluid inside a watermelon actually matches hydronium within the brain, which is an interesting thing. If we look at a carrot, when you slice it open, looks like it has a pupil with an iris and radiating lines. It's known that carrots prevent macular degeneration. Studies have been done at Cornell University showing that if you eat carrots, they're high in carotenoids, which prevent macular degeneration and can actually correct rods and cones within the eyes. I've been working with people for 10 plus years doing eye exercises, drinking carrot juice, and eating a medium-sized carrot every single day, which enhances blood flow to the eyes by about 30%. And I've had individuals literally take off their prescription glasses and have their eyes heal. A lot of people will never believe this, but the fact is, every human organ, every part of your body is an organism, and it has the ability to heal. I've even gone through 6 months of working online and putting books together with my father and have had my eyesight literally go blurry. And over time and distance of doing these eye exercises and eating proper foods, gotten my eyesight back. A walnut grows to the heavens, kind of like the head. It's raised above. They have a husk, kind of like the skin. They have a hard shell, just like the cranial cap. If you break a walnut open, it literally looks like it has a left hemisphere or a right hemisphere. It looks like it has the convoluted juridic folds of the brain, upper cerebrums, lower cerebellums. If you look at Baylor University, they've done studies of walnuts and found absolutely it contains omega 3, 6, and 9, which will cross the blood-brain barrier, unlike any other omega 3, 6, and 9s. They literally enhance brain function. Things like fish oil and other things will not cross the blood-brain barrier. They will not give us the nutrients in the same way that a walnut will. What I love to do with walnuts is soak them in a little bit of water overnight. This germinates them. It makes them taste much better. It gets rid of the phytic acid, which actually prevents digestion. A lot of people get little cold sores and things when they eat walnuts, and that will not happen when you soak them overnight. And I dip them in a little bit of honey and snack on them. And these have been known about for thousands of years. Even Leonardo da Vinci would draw pictures of the brain and walnuts next to each other as a sign and a picture that walnuts would enhance brain function. If you look at an avocado, it's shaped like a womb and cervix, the female parts. It has a big swollen seed inside. Studies show that it prevents cervical cancer and distension of the womb. The essential fats in an avocado are some of the best things that a woman can eat during and after pregnancy. A lot of studies have been done with avocados as well, showing that if you eat a medium-sized avocado every single day, because your body receives the good fats, it literally starts to shed some of the bad fat that it's holding on to. And really cool correlation, it takes exactly 9 months to grow an avocado from blossom to ripe fruit. Absolutely phenomenal how nature works with us to show us these signatures. If you look at a tomato is red. It's the size of the heart. You slice it open. It has 4 chambers, just like the heart. Same with capsicum, red bell peppers, same thing, 4 chambers, red, just like the heart. If you go to the American Heart Association's website, they'll tell you that lycopene is the #1 food that prevents heart disease and strengthens the heart and the circulatory system. The problem with the age in which we live is we'll extract lycopene from tomatoes, we'll stabilize that, replicate it, and take it as a pill. And the problem is, if you take a pill of pure lycopene, the body does not recognize it. The body does not use it the same as if it had a fresh, ripe tomato. A fresh, ripe tomato with all its phytonutrients and all its vitamins and minerals and its life force, is the key. It is the key to health and vitality, not a supplement, not a drug, not a pill. If you look at celery, it's shaped like the bones. It literally will snap like the bones. If you take a whole stalk of celery and you cut it open, it looks exactly like the inside of your bones. Celery is 23% sodium. Your bones also contain 23% sodium. And it's interesting to find out that calcium is actually made by having the right ratio of sodium within your body and by getting out into the sun. Being hydrated, having enough salt, and being out in the sun is what makes hard bones. And if that sounds, crazy to you, if you simply look in the ocean, you'll see coral calcium. And coral calcium is the purest form of calcium as well, just like bones. It grows from having salt water and sunshine, period. So instead of going out and grinding up these coral calcium rocks and putting it into supplement pills and eating it, which is what most people do, which actually calcifies the body and causes problems, we should simply be snacking on celery, greens, and other types of vegetables with a sodium content that will build strong bones. So with that, there are hundreds of different foods that affect different parts of the body, and I could go on forever. But moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about Daniel. Daniel was talked about in the Old Testament of the Bible, which is basically ancient scrolls that were found and put together based on what King James wanted to do and putting them together in a specific order. And if you look at it, it really is about 600 BC, the same times as Pythagoras. And there was a kingdom called Babylon. And King Nebuchadnezzar was the ruler of Babylon. And King Nebuchadnezzar was a really brilliant king, and he wanted to expand his kingdom. So what he decided to do was to gather together 3,000 to 5,000 young men, young, healthy men from all different places. He literally sent out emissaries to all the surrounding countries and villages and places to extrapolate and bring back all of the fairest of flesh of young men to basically put them in a camp for a period of 3 years and to educate them, to teach them language, to teach them astronomy, to teach them mathematics, to teach them the art of warfare and fighting, and to teach them many different things. And the king was always going to feed them the best of the food. He wanted these people to be the smartest and the strongest, so that after 3 years, he could choose who were going to be his advisors, who were going to be his counsel, who's going to be my captains and my generals of my armies. He was a really brilliant king and doing amazing things. And back in this time, there was a very specific sect or society of people called the Essenes. The Essenes are the ones that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you can still find information about the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were discovered literally 60 to 70 years ago and brought back into society and translated. You can buy certain books on the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've read some of these books, and absolutely transformational books. When I was 17 years old, I read the first book called The Essene Gospel of Peace that absolutely transformed my life. But these 4 individuals that were brought back, called Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to eat the king's food. And they said, "Give us pulse to eat and water to drink." Now it says that these individuals ate pulse and drank water for the entire 3 years that they were there. And it says that King Nebuchadnezzar and his advisors came into the encampment and literally tested the 3,000 to 5,000 young men and found none greater than Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And in fact, they found them to be 10 times more learned and more capable in their understandings and in their intelligence. And they also found them to be stronger than any of the other individuals. So you can simply go to the Old Testament of the Bible and read that story. It's a pretty profound story, but it talks about them basically saying, "Give us 10 days to prove to you by eating this food, we will appear brighter upon our countenance and fatter upon our flesh," which meant they would look stronger and appear healthier when they were approached with the king's food. So my father, Don Tolman, traveled around most of the known world. He traveled to Egypt. He traveled to many long cultures looking for these cultures and their foods and what they had, and really was trying to bring this food back. So we put together, literally after 17 years of looking, he found a scroll that had the exact ratios of nuts and seeds and grains and fruits and legumes, and basically how to make this food based on these ancient proportions. And we put together a cleanse called the 30-day adventure. I'm sorry, this is the wrong slide. It's not 14 days to a new you. It's actually a 30-day adventure, which consists of a 4-day colon cleanse and 26 bags of food. Again, we take dates, oats, almonds, pecans, raisins, walnuts, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, quinoa, millet, flaxseed, and all these things that used to be used. And in their sacred proportion, we still put them together in the same way into a product, a food called pulse. When my father first started making this, he literally lived on it for an entire year. And we put this program together called the 30-day adventure. What I've done is I put together a colon cleanse to really clean people out. That consists of all of the really amazing foods that it can be combined to clean out the digestive system. Most people have a really backed up digestive system. They're not receiving the nutrients from the food because they have what's called mucoid plaque, which really hinders the body's process of digesting and really getting good foods. So that's a 4-day process. In this 30-day adventure, you do 4 days of a colon cleanse, which absolutely cleans you out. It also includes medicinal clay. It's called bentonite clay. Many cultures for thousands of years have ingested clay to eliminate toxic heavy metals and just poisons in general. The bentonite clay gets rid of mercury, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. It gets rid of different toxicity within the body. This is probably my most popular product. It's been used by thousands of people in just about every country, not every country, many countries around the world, from the UK, United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Japan. People from all over the world use this. This product has really spread simply from word of mouth because it's such a powerful product. You'll notice that the whites of your eyes clear up. You'll feel lighter. You'll lose a few inches around the waist simply by using this 4-day colon cleanse. But the reason for this 4-day colon cleanse is to really clean you out and get your body ready to receive this offering called Pulse. And I will tell you, Pulse tastes absolutely fantastic. And what it does is it satiates us nutritionally. Most people are used to eating a lot of food and getting a very small amount of nutrition. And during this process, we're reversing that. You're eating a small amount of food and you're getting a massive amount of nutrition. There is such a variety of nutrients and vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and micronutrients just in this small bag of food. And essentially what you do after the 4-day colon cleanse is you eat 1 bag of food every single day. And at first, you'll be like, oh, wow, this isn't enough food. I feel like I need more. And that's okay. You can snack on an apple, eat a banana, have some fresh fruit, have a salad if you feel like it, just to get through the first few days. And what you'll find is after about 3, 4, or 5 days eating this food, you'll be fully satisfied and satiated. You'll be like, wow, I feel really good. I have energy. I feel lighter and brighter. Mentally, I'm fully clear. It's an absolutely transformational process to go through. And by the end of the 30 days, you'll hardly get through a bag of food because it gives us so much nutrients. Our bodies realize we really don't need to be eating that much. So with that, the 30-day adventure is $595. We've recently introduced 2 different flavors of the food. We get all raw organic mango, dried mango that's absolutely beautiful. It's really an orgasmic experience mentally to eat this food. It really tastes fantastic. So including a little bit of variety makes it easy for the 30 days. We also make a raw chocolate blend. That's actually the raw cacao plant. super, super high in antioxidants. One of the highest antioxidants food is raw cacao, high in folate, magnesium, manganese, and dozens of other phytonutrients and phytochemicals that actually stimulate the same parts of the brain as an orgasm, literally. The same chemicals in chocolate produce that effect, which is why a lot of people really like chocolate. So that 30-day adventure is $595. I also have a series of ebooks on the 7 principles of health. Really profound information. See, health comes from many different areas of life: air, water, sunshine, exercise, whole foods, relationships, and passion. You could download each one of these ebooks for $20 a piece on the website. But we have these today as an inclusion to getting the 30-day adventure. So it's the 7 ebook series. It's worth $140. And basically today, what I would like to do is give you guys an offer that I've absolutely never given before. I can absolutely say that 100%. I've never given this in any webinar previous to this. And what I'm doing is giving you the 30-day adventure and the 7 ebook series worth $140. The total value of that is $735. And I'm giving you 35% off that total price. So the value is $735. And today only, you'll be able to get that for $478, which is absolutely phenomenal. And on top of that, I'm going above and beyond what I've ever done before because I want people to have this information. I want you to become educated. My passion is really educating every individual so that you and your family and your friends can live a long and happy, energetic life. I'm sick and tired of seeing people that are sick and tired. And I hope that you're in the same boat and in the same situation. And what I'm going to do today only is I'm going to also include a one-on-one consultation. And what that is I charge $500 for a one-on-one consultation. I've been doing this for many years. I do one-on-ones Monday through Friday, literally 5 days a week in the mornings. And what it looks like is you'll go online, you fill out a 3-page form of your history, the types of foods that you're eating, the types of drinks you're drinking, your medical history, things that you're looking to get out of the one-on-one, what you're wanting to create, some of your goals. Really a lot of information goes into this, and you'll lodge that online, and you'll pick a time to work with me one-on-one. And what I do is I will research all of the information that you send to me. You're also going to take a photo of your face. If you have an iPhone 4 or if you have a good camera, you're also going to take good quality photos of your eyes. And I'll be able to do an assessment with iridology and sclerology. And by looking into your face, I'll be able to see constitutionally what it looks like, and also genetically, maybe some genetic inherent weakness in different organs. And also I'll be able to see stress that's happening in your body. So if you have kidney stress, I'll be able to give you certain types of foods and plants and even drinks to make to purify the kidneys. Or if it's a liver or heart or any type of problems, I'll be able to see that and work with you one-on-one. When you book that and lodge that online, I'll have a very specific time that I call you, and we'll have a 1 hour either Skype call or 1 hour talk on the phone. And this is something I've never done before. Literally, I charge $500 just for that one-on-one consultation. So today, that is $1,235 worth of value. Absolutely, if you have any inkling of wanting to improve your health, wanting the information to move forward, today is the day. That's pretty much all I can say. We're going to send you information. You're going to have 7 books. You're going to have a one-on-one consultation. You're going to have 30 days of food and a cleansing process that is going to be profound. And even if you didn't want to do the cleanse, that 30-day package will probably last you 2 to 3 months of just snacking. I know a lot of people that will just have pulse in place of lunch, have a lot more energy, and just snack on it throughout the day. Again, All it is whole, pure, amazing nutrient dense whole foods. You can see it as like a health bar, and just snacking on a little bit a day or replacing a meal is absolutely beautiful. But if you want the full effect of what this program does, and you really want to reset your body back to manufacturer's specifications, you'll do the 30-day program. And I know your life will be transformed. So again, that's $1,200 worth of value today for $478. It doesn't get any better than that. I am now going to send you a link. If you look over in the little comments and chat section, I'm going to send that to you.